Kia ora, and welcome to the first in a mini-series of case studies produced by Aotearoa New Zealand. My name is Sophie Watson, and today I'll be sharing a conversation with you that I had with staff from Mana College about their experience revisioning their Year 9 school camp. Some of you listening may be aware of the revisioning school camp's professional development run by Education Outdoors New Zealand over the past year, with support from the Network of Expertise funding. This professional learning project supports teachers and schools to develop localised, place-responsive and student-centred school camp programs. We hope by sharing these case studies you'll come away feeling inspired to revision your own camp experiences or try out a couple of the ideas shared by our case study schools. If you'd like further information about the Revisioning School Camps PLD or access to further case studies and resources, please visit the Education Outdoors New Zealand website. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope that you enjoy today's case study. Mana College is located in Aotearoa, Wellington, and has around 450 students, of whom 85% identify as Māori or Pacifica. I sat down to speak with the two staff responsible for leading the revisioning of the Year 9 camp, Jeff Chapman, who is the Year 9 Dean, and Dr. Robert Stratford, the Assistant Principal.
So I guess to start us off, why did you decide that revisioning your Year 9 camp was something that you wanted to do?
Because initially actually it was financial, because it costs the school the last couple of years $20,000 to $25,000. So reading the document, going to the revisioning PD as well, and our own thoughts were that we've got the skills, we've got the expertise of staff and resource of staff and in our local area, and you know we live in a beautiful place with water, with bush, with hills, with views, with history, with iwi just down the road. Why go over another hill to do that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they were the two big motivators for me.
It's important to note that since the revisioning process began at Mana College, the Ministry of Education has provided further guidance and direction around the school donations legislation. Another ministry initiative has seen the optional donation scheme come into force, meaning that schools fitting the criteria can opt in to receive $150 subsidy per student. If your school or kura has opted into the donation scheme, the Board of Trustees cannot ask whānau or caregivers to make a donation unless it is for a school camp. Parents can choose to pay none, some, or all of the school camp donation. However, regardless of whether a donation is made, students cannot be stopped from attending the camp if it is part of the school's curriculum. This includes year-level camps. The definition of a school camp, as outlined by the legislation, is any curriculum-related activity where students are expected to stay overnight as part of that activity. This means that schools providing camp experiences or EOTC activities that do not involve students staying overnight cannot request for donations. If your school cannot or has not opted into the donation scheme, you can continue to ask for a donation towards EOTC, camp, and other school activities. However, regardless of whether any payment for curriculum-based activities are made, no child can be excluded or limited in their participation. If you need more information or clarity around the School Donations Act or donation scheme, visit education.govt.nz. In the initial stages of the revisioning process, Jeff and Rob considered the aspects of education that were important to retain as part of the Year 9 camp.
A lot of time we didn't even have anywhere to go initially. We just had these ideas about connection, and some of Mike Brown's work in outdoor ed has been really important here.
Yeah. And the idea around what do kids love about going on camp.
Mm-hmm. You're not losing that.
Yeah, but not losing it, because as soon as you say activity days, whatever. You know, particularly because I was the Year 9 Dean and I was doing interviews with new kids coming in. So if I say, activity days instead of a camp, there's no way to sell it.
Yeah, so it's the language that you're using around.
It was like, and we changed it to exploration days, exploring there. environment and their place. And that idea of the going away to somewhere new, which we thought we achieved, and our aim was to use a boat for that rather than a bus over it.
The camp, now aptly named the Year 9 Exploration Days, is made up of 3 separate day camps, which are run back to back. Over the exploration days, students rotate around 3 significant local environments and participate in a range of learning experiences. One of these days is based at the school's marae, where students develop relationships with each other and explore their cultural heritage and identity. They also begin learning about the school's history, hear stories of the region, and learn the school haka. Another exploration day is spent at Mana Island, where students learn from local iwi, explore the island, and further develop an understanding of the local history. The final location is Whitirea Park. Here students participate in a range of activities designed to get them to know each other and develop positive group culture. While at Whitirea Park, they also learn about the ecology of the area and efforts being made to improve and preserve it. Some of the Year 12 and 13 students are involved as tuakana, or student leaders, and support the Year 9s by facilitating activities, role modelling positive culture, and liaising with external experts. All of these locations are within 8 kilometres of the school. Jeff and Rob explained their motivation behind creating this kind of camp model and the outcomes they were looking to achieve.
We wanted to create a centrepiece of our local curriculum, our place-based approach. Because we're also reorienting the curriculum towards this local curriculum and a focus on place as well. So this seemed like a really good opportunity if the school was really to invest money in a camp, to invest it in place-based approaches that engaged kids with where we were. And as Jeff has said, we live in a really rich place. And we were really lucky that part of the richness we were able to develop came with, once we started signalling that we wanted to connect to place, it made it much easier to have conversations with iwi about how they might be involved. So as they went, well, you want to go to Mana Island, then we can tell you the story. And the iwi got really excited at the opportunity to have I suppose their mana upheld or to tell their story, because after all the story of Mana Island and how it got its name is how our school got its name.
Then if we think about the process that you went through to actually kind of revision this camp, do you kind of want to talk me through that a little bit? What was your starting point for that, having those kind of 3 things in your mind around curricular, place and affordability?
We tried to go with, keep it simple, stupid, because you have to start with something simple and it can just blow up. So having too many things to try and tick off the list, what's the true things, or the actual things we want the Year 9s to have or be part of when they come here. So a big part of it was, for me, I remember talking to John Murdoch, the principal, many years ago when he started, 2 or 3 years ago when he started, was that he'd love to see, and I totally agree with him, that every kid at Mana College got to go, on a hike, or every kid got to go in the water, or every kid got to go in the snow, or whatever. Just those experiences that if you come to Mana College, these things are going to happen. And so that process, that was a big thinking, and then coming back to and sitting down with you, trying to connect those things in with having a person on the outside, tell us, or advise us, because we're so thick in it. And then we came up with, who are we and where are we? So that was
that were the questions that we started asking into our curriculum itself too. So I was laying down the challenge to learning area heads through Wale Penatito's work and his questions. So who are we? Where are we? And what was interesting through this, as we were talking to you and Rebecca, who works on the environmental ed work and the place-based stuff with us too.
In the Porirua Harbour.
And through Porirua Harbour Trust, that we started saying, we've got this focus on active learning. We want some experiences that set them up to go, not just who they are and where they are, but what we can do as well. So we started asking. So one of the reasons about going to mana is look at the fact that we got rid of all the mice. As a community, worked to help get all the mice off this island. That the community since '96 has planted 500,000 trees. So it became a really uplifting story as well, and sort of easy to sort of gel into the process.
But I was wondering, what the connector was between all of those things, like between those three separate or almost-ish experiences.
Yeah, that was a really interesting conversation that we all, three of us, had before this happened.
And Rebecca as well.
That was an eye-opener for me. That was a big learning for me. I hadn't thought about it, to connect all 3 days. And so I really made a point of it every time, like I was telling you before, that at the briefs every day, we live in this beautiful place. Why are we going here? What's the connection here between this place and this place? Think about this, all those sorts of things. Kept on doing those little prompts and stuff. However, what I don't have any tangible, evidence or anything as yet. Maybe that'll come out in the other stuff with the curriculum stuff.
We haven't finished the evaluation yet.
No, we haven't. Good. But the staff said that connect, it will happen over time. That even though I raised it and the staff are talking about it and that was a big focus and we'd already thought about it, where that will come out hopefully is in the next term.
Or even longer,
Yeah, just really like those questions for me that we use to coordinate as a starting point, I suppose, are the same ones we've used for the rewrite of the junior curriculum and the development of place across the curriculum. So what we've done is really try to ensure that this propels our curriculum generally. So we've taken those questions from Wale Penatito's challenge, and some of it's really work on place-based from the Indigenous perspective that he was writing from. And so that who are we, where are we? And what I was trying to do when I was doing the PD with staff earlier on the last term, term 4, was to say, well, let's if we really want to think about what joins all of our curriculum to this place, it's answering those questions and building that connection. And we added that extra question around, so who are we, where are we, what are we doing, what are we going to do, and to create that sense that students have an active connection to place.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, that contribution rather than just kind of passively engaging in space.
Yeah, so some of the kōrero on mana, as well as kupe, as well as rongia, was the 500,000 trees that have been planted, the mouse eradication program, the fact that the story of the island being a quarantine station and a farm, and way back when it was a farm and the guy got buried in a rum barrel, and kids really connect to that story. And because I say things like, you'd be walking over someone who's buried in a rum barrel who died of alcoholism on this island. Are we going to find him? Should we go looking for him? Yeah, well, people have tried.
Yeah, the treasure hunt that you don't want to find.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's funny what engages 13-year-olds. It's just that sort of that little sense of danger and adultness around alcoholism. Why do you think you might have felt like that? And what would have been like living at the lighthouse, and this was the garden, and this was all you had to eat. Just you get to have those little conversations as you're walking around. But those same questions, coming back to those questions: who are we? Where are we? What are we going to do? They're really easy for us to carry over. So the head of social studies and the head of science went with us because they also had Year 9 classes, which was kind of, we like to think we planned it, but it just sort of ended up that way. But we realised that as it happened, that they were such good people to have because they could see how the planning they'd been doing answering those same questions, exactly how we leverage off. Like when they do plant work in science, when they do the geological stuff that they're going to do, when social studies is doing local history, we've set it up for them because we've already had a fun time and dabbling in the history and the ecology.
And they can visualise, what that learning or that concept might look like too.
Yeah, and the great thing about the whiti-reo, especially in the Mana Island context, being out in them, is they're both restored natural spaces. So there's a positive restoration story.
I'm really keen to hear, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit so far, and I know that you're still to finish your evaluation process and see, I guess, the longer term impacts of this revision camp. But what appear to be so far the impacts on student learning and engagement from this camp experience?
What was it? Very evident as we had that first phone call debrief up to the first day was how engaged all the kids were, and so in terms of student learning, and we're going to go through the nature journals and have a look at that sort of stuff, and have a look at some of the poetry that they've written. And I set up a poetry framework,
Yeah, right.
one where, one of those poems where Mana Island describe how it is. Mana Island describes someone who did something different. Some Mana Island where there was an animal. Mana Island where there was Aotearoa crashed, where there was salt on my lip. They're telling stories of the tastes and feels and flavours and events.
Yeah.
And so you see kids actually laughing about writing these things. That's the sort of vibe I'm talking about when they're writing this back in class.
In their planning of the exploration days, Rob and Jeff started to recognise the ease at which integrated or cross-curricular learning could occur. While they made purposeful decisions in creating links between learning areas and concepts, some of these connections appeared to happen more organically during the exploration days. This further enhanced the learning for students and reiterated the purpose and value of these experiences to them. As part of the revisioning process, gathering and integrating student and teacher feedback provided valuable insight into the impacts of the experience, as well as providing useful information to ensure future exploration days are as meaningful and effective as possible.
The feedback that I got from both staff, Tuakana and I haven't read
the Tuakana being the senior students.
Yeah, the Year 12 and 13 students that were there to mentor them, was the team activity that we did there. It was just seeing half the group, or whoever didn't want to get wet or was afraid of water, got grubby anyway and creative and did the sandcastles, while the other ones that loved water and were active and doing manus off the optics and stuff like that. But they had a routine. It only lasted about a minute. But the whole process was awesome because we catered for everyone. The criteria was
inclusiveness.
The criteria was that everyone had to be included. Everyone had to contribute, and the water guys were supplying the water to the sandcastle for a water feature. So the central piece was water. However, they didn't have to be in it to experience it. And but the tuakana and the staff said it would have been awesome if there was more of that. However, not run by me, run by the tuakana. It was a really big thing that came back from whiti-reo, or actually from all 3 days. A big choice we made actually too, which was a major, was no cell phone. Nothing. We were tough as on it. And that was gold. Because
they had to talk to one another.
They actually had to talk to
And so what was the initial response to that?
Oh, they did it because
they grumpy.
Yeah. If they had been Year 12.
Leveraged off that.
And if they had been Year 12, they probably would have put up resistance. However, not in the last one. But anyway, it was fantastic. They handed in. There's a couple that always, tried it on. Yes, they do. But even some of the tūtanga. However, we made it really, really strong, and as a result, they were human beings.
And do you think they saw that themselves?
Definitely.
I don't know. I haven't read all these yet.
Yeah. Oh no, but it was a really different vibe. Because we were boarding onto Mana Island every day, every cohort, and so we were singing waiata, practicing waiata on the boat and stuff like that. Not texting or there was that sense.
Online connectedness.
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah.
Amazing.
It was that
Not sitting in the bus.
Connectedness, and so we took we had 2 iPads though.
One iPad to a place.
Yeah, so that we documented it.
Yeah.
Mana College made some clear decisions around the use of technology during the exploration days. While it's a fine balance between student distraction and student engagement, technology can be used in meaningful ways to enhance and extend the learning that occurs during EOTC. Involving the community in the planning and delivery of the Uniting Exploration Days has enabled the college to strengthen their relationship with the community.
Well, I think even like I was saying to both of you before, or maybe Jeff, was that the stories that I've heard before I came to visit within the community of the Mana College Unite camp has been really positive. So people were talking about it within the community. So that in itself, I think, has a really positive thing to say about the experience, because it's not just talking about your students, it's talking about the wider community and the impact that that experience has.
That's so funny, because the reason why I was late and why you were talking to Jeff for 5 minutes before I arrived, because I had to plumb around, because the house was leaking. Turns out he was a student's dad, and he was telling me how much he loved it, and his wife had gone with us because we invited parents to come, and she loved it too, and so it was sort of I'm definitely getting that feedback from community members as well about how much they loved it.
As part of their work in engaging the community, the school is planning a whānau evening, where the students will share their experiences with the wider community. As Rob explains, this has multiple benefits.
When we have a whānau evening, showing them what kids have put in the nature journals, telling the stories again about the connection, what did you learn, and bringing that back to the community. So to create an ongoing curriculum vibe and to link in families to the stories. And many of whom are Ngāti Toa who have a connection to this place as well. Or, they've never been to Mana Island and it's fascinated that their kids have had a chance to go.
Yeah, I think that ongoing community connection can really build even more richness into the experience and, build those connections between your whānau and your students and things like that.
Yeah, because we want to get parents in. And like the traditional model is, you might have Principal John going, welcome into this meeting, but now we're sort of going to work it up as workstations and have the sausage sizzle and just have the tūkana talking through stuff and actually just limit the formal stuff and just get around and talk.
Engagement.
Focus on engagement and connection and welcome everyone in, but then get on with it. Enjoying one another's company and talking about the experiences kids have had.
As Year 9 Dean, Jeff was particularly keen to see how this camp model helped to develop a strong positive culture within the year group. The results so far have been pleasing.
And I suppose one real tangible thing that I can say around the culture, because that was part of what we wanted, was the beginnings of positive culture at the school, which is why we held it in week 4, because once you get 5, 6, 7, 8 to week 8, a lot of the cultures have been established and they could be not so good, speaking from experience.
As a dean,
yeah, so that was another objective. So, and our principal, coming from him and from staff as well, that was a big tick. Yes, it's settled.
I think people listening will be really keen to hear about what your biggest learnings have been in terms of the whole revisioning process, and also any tips that you have for keeping it simple, and obviously it can become, changing a camp or a camp experience can be quite a massive process. And so, what are your key learnings, but also what are some recommendations that you have for other people who are interested in engaging in this kind of process?
I think one of the key learnings is consult with experts.
Really, yeah.
Like yourself, Rebecca, people who are in the game, who've been practitioners.
94 as well.
Yeah, and then that was my next one.
Yeah.
And then the local even. That was that's when it's always been hard, difficult to get in, and this has been a major. It's almost like a key.
So what was that, the connection to the island, or what was the thing
that was the main one.
Changed that relationship?
We went to talk to someone over at the Puna, so Bianca at the Puna, and she gave us some really good advice too. Although Nathan, who also works at school for teaching the voice whakaaro, was keen to help us out. And we sort of went through Bianca to kind of do it, sort of emerged, and he did a lot of the footwork about talking to kaimātua and stuff like that, and sort of kept us safe and working out what the knowledge was. Because we'd established this place base and we wanted to we weren't going to Mana Island for fun as much as we were going to build connection. And there's a really important difference because I think the iwi really responded to the fact that we wanted to respect their mana, that we wanted to build a connection to the stories of this place and to them as mana whenua. And after all, Mana Island, the name is gifted by Ngāti Toa, the land is gifted by Ngāti Toa. And
so the authenticity in that.
Yeah. And so Nathan helped us build that connection to what they could be. But the point Bianca raised about that was that a lot of the parents are from Ngāti Toa. Just talk to them. Mm-hmm. Get them to come along. So we sort of reached out and did some of that. Although we didn't do it enough. But in the end,
that was a learning too. That if to do it again, I think we talk more to the community because we spoke to experts and we spoke to key people in the iwi, but we didn't get down to the nitty gritty of actual whānau or the kids really. So I think if we get to that level, that would be amazing.
It's funny though,
it's hard in a year.
Actually, that's when you think about if they're Year 9 students, that could be a really nice bridging for that transition between intermediate when it's separate from a high school, and starting to engage students in that process prior and building that connection with your local feeder schools, whether that can happen in a kahuiako kind of setting or not. But
I think so.
I just had one final question, and that is around, you referenced cost efficiency, because I'm sure lots of people will be really interested to know how this cost of this camp compares to previous ones. Just in terms of was it less, more?
Well, if you're talking dollars, it's way cheaper.
But if we're talking time?
So dollars, it was an interesting conversation. Our biggest cost was the boats. Mm-hmm. So and we got a bit of a discount. So $1,500 a day for the boats. So and then plus, and we got there's another thing. We worked in with the council with Te Pahi, and so we got a free bus for 3 days. The bus was on steroids. It was going around all day. Whitsidea to the marina, 2 or 3 different trips. Yeah. So that was awesome. That saved us.
So that's a local resource, isn't it?
Local resource, yeah. And having that connect, I know the lady that books it, so that was fantastic. So all up.
Koha as well.
Yeah, and facilitation around with the iwi in particular. Mm-hmm. Is I don't know, it would be around $10,000. Mm-hmm.
So it would have been about a third of what it would have cost us to do a camp.
Yeah.
And it sounds like for delivering the outcomes that you were looking for and contributing to the bigger school picture, it hit a lot more of those outcomes.
Camps typically didn't. I mean,
definitely.
As Jeff and Rob have shared, using local places, resources and expertise within the community has really paid off for Mana College, not just in terms of reducing the costs associated with the Year 9 camp or now exploration days, but enabling the school to deliver a much more rich and impactful experience for their students. While a significant amount of work has gone into developing this new model of camp experience for the Year 9s, the success of the exploration days has encouraged the school to explore more ways to extend the experience into different areas of the curriculum and with different year groups. I know I'm really excited to see where this revisioning journey takes them. Well, that's it for our first case study from the EONZ Revisioning School Camps PLD. I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation and it stimulated your own thinking around how your school might be able to revise or refresh aspects of your school camp experiences. Remember to check out the EONZ website for further information on the PLD, as well as access to additional case studies and resources. Thanks for joining us. Mā te wā.